This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Let's get this going. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our October Board of Selectmen meeting. I'm Mike Frieda, North Haven's first selectman, joined, as always, by our second selectman, Mr. William Piper, and our third select woman, Miss Sally Boemi. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to ask you to stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item number 2, any public comments to tonight's agenda? Okay, seeing none. Item number 3, the approval of the minutes of the Board of Selectmen meeting from September 7th.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes, September 7th, 2023.
I'll second Sally's motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
On item number 4, just a couple of quick announcements. From an economic development standpoint, the home goods store, the 24,000 square foot store, opened up on Universal Drive since our last meeting here, and it appears to be a resounding success. So we're happy that home goods is here in North Haven. Abate's restaurant on State Street is now opened up. We work very closely with that owner, Mr. Lou Abate. He's received the CO. He is still has applied for a liquor license. We've approved it through our planning and zoning. Now it's at the state level, so he'll have that liquor license very shortly. So right now, over the past 10 days, I know I spoke with him. He's very happy with the support that he's getting. I wanted to also mention that over on Dodge Avenue, we brought in an HVAC company. And that company came in from another town whose lease had expired in the warehouse that they were in. So that's 12,000 square feet over on Dodge Avenue for a company that's 50 years old and is well known in the HVAC area. So there are more announcements that I'll be making. And from a categorical standpoint, the mission on economic development is stores, restaurants, commercial, and these very important companies that have the trades. I'm working with an electrical contractor now to try to get them over on Valley Service Road. So when we look at economic development, I know that the real sizzle is the stores, the home goods, trying to get a Trader Joe's. Those are very important. Restaurants are very important also. But these other companies filling these buildings and these spaces or building on empty land also are critically important to us from a tax base, and these contractors who provide these services. And that's one of the things I'm focusing in on now as we conclude getting the retailers that we're trying to get in these plazas. We are still focused on that, particularly on the south side of the Stop and Shop Plaza, but these other companies are very important. And lastly, I wanted to make a statement to Sally and Bill. I cannot make the November 2nd Board of Selectmen meeting. There's a major event that people want me at. North Haven residents are being honored. So if it's okay, if we could push it to November 9th, if that meets with your schedules. Or you can do it 2 out of 3.
Bill and I will take over.
You want to take
Yeah.
over? You can
No.
do that too.
So
So
the 9th is fine with me. We
Bill?
could do it without
I
you.
have our annual fundraiser for the not-for-profit that I'm on the board on. I have their major fundraiser on the 9th.
there is another option. The other option is if we started the meeting at 5:30, if I got there at 6:30 or 6:45, that's another option on the 2nd.
That sounds fine as well.
Okay? So we would have to publicly make sure it's posted, It's on the website, and we'll have to make sure that it gets out there, okay?
Right, it'll become a special meeting, but the only difference would be if something wasn't on the agenda, we wouldn't be able to add it. But
Right.
other than that, changing the time is fine.
Okay.
Now, with that option, Sally and Bill,
I could even do it, I think it comes back to Sally, your schedule, I could do it earlier, like even 5 o'clock, if that gives you more leeway.
well, if we stay with the...
30 or whatever.
If we stayed with the 5:30 option, the worst-case scenario would be I'd have to leave here at 6:30 with the meeting in progress, and it may be before public comment.
Okay.
But I'm sure you and Bill
We
can
can
handle
handle that.
can handle public
Sure.
comment, right? So,
Sure.
5:30, Bill, does that work for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
just,
I'm
I mean, we
free.
always have to consider people getting out of work. I mean, we don't have a very large crowd here, so you may wonder why I'm making that point, but, you know, we're supposed to take
Yeah.
the public into account. 9 to 5 is the standard work week, so I think 5:30 is fine. Are you expecting a heavy, I know it's a little premature.
No,
Are you ex-
December will be heavy because we'll have all those board and commission reappointments that we have when we
Right.
have an election year.
Yeah.
So December will be lengthy, but I don't, as of right now, I don't think we have anything much.
No, there'll be no resolutions like we had last
Yeah,
time,
so it should,
So we did it
Yeah.
at 5:30, and if I have...
5:30, yeah.
I'll have to leave by 6:30 the latest, so I can get over into the event with traffic factoring that in too, so.
Sure.
All right, very
Well,
good, thank you.
Do we have to motion that, or just agree to that?
I think just an agreement is fine.
I agree.
Okay, thank you. And Val will make sure we'll get it out, put it on the town Facebook, on the town
Yeah.
website, okay? So,
Sure
all right.
thing.
All right, item number 5, bond releases. I'll turn it over to Sally and Bill.
Yeah, I'll take the first one. Under bond releases, we have P 20-12, which is 346 State Street. The amount of the original bond was $2,500. The current balance of the bond is $2,500. So I will make a motion to release the entire bond balance of $2,500 with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the town engineer.
I'll second Sally's motion for that release.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Well, I reviewed the town engineer's report, all conditions have been met, so
Okay.
I support this release.
All right, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next.
Next bond release is number P 21-19, 85 Sackett Point Road. Amount of original bond, $2,500. Current balance of bond, $2,500. I'll motion for the release of the entire bond balance of $2,500 with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the town engineer.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And finally, we have I 21-09, 85 Sackett Point Road. The amount of the original bond is $3,500. The current balance of the bond is $3,500. And so I will make a motion to release the entire bond balance of $3,500 with the recommendation of the Inland Wetlands Commission and the town engineer.
I'll second Sally's motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is property tax refunds. And after reviewing those, I don't see anything that's particularly unusual, so I will make a motion to that those property tax refunds be done.
Second?
All right, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, except for item number 7. So the next meeting of the Board of Selectmen is Thursday, November 2nd. We have it here at 6:30. We've just come to an agreement that it will be at 5:30 here at Memorial Town Hall. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the point of public comment. Mr. Katz. How are you, Sherman?
Good, how you doing?
Good, pretty good, Sherman, thank you.
Nice to see you guys. I want to bring up a point, Sherman Cass, 40 Sherwood Drive. A question was asked several months ago, and I brought this about, I want to say 8, 9 months ago. There's a portion of the guardrail on the Hartford Turnpike that's gone. A car went through it about a year ago, and nothing's been done to repair it. I brought it up to the Public Works Department. Gentleman that was here a couple of months ago brought it up here, and it's been that way for 10 months to a year. It's a protection to keep someone from going over the embankment down below, and I just don't want the town to be liable for neglect that this hasn't been fixed. Maybe nothing will ever happen, maybe something might.
So you did bring this up, Sherman, and when you brought it up, I had thought that you were referring to Hartford Turnpike and Helen Street, which was up in the 1500 block, but this is a different address though,
Yeah,
apparently, right?
this is in between Georgetown and, what is that, Allendale.
Okay,
It's a section of about maybe 20, 25 feet.
all right.
It's
we'll
completely
take the vote.
gone.
Is it on the west side?
No,
or
going
the
south,
east
it's on the
side?
right-hand side.
Going south, so it's on the west side, okay,
As you pass Georgetown going south,
yeah,
you'll see that.
okay.
So, let me just share this with you, Sherman, and I'm not sure if this is the reason, okay, but Bailey Road and Maple Avenue are a good example. We repaired that guardrail 3 times in 1 year at the cost of $7,000.
Yep.
And these guardrails are getting more and more expensive. And there's really not a direct line item in the budget for guardrails. So we'll look into this.
This is not a guardrail, this is the post with the wire.
Oh, it's the wire.
Yeah, this is less expensive.
Okay, all right, well, that's good to know.
The guardrail is in front of what's the name of the place on Hartford Turnpike? Car went through it a couple of weeks ago. Rosewood.
Rosewood,
Went right through the guardrail.
Where the condos?
No, the Rosewood condos.
The Rosewood condos?
Yes,
Okay,
You know, thank you for that clarification, Sherman.
because that's their problem.
that's
that's their
down
problem.
further, yeah.
But I know that these wire and post guardrails have become antiquated, so we'll talk to Mike Naturo, and if we can get them, we'll get them, and we'll do it, and put it back up.
But like I say, it's the wire, all they do
Yeah.
is put the posts in and put the wires.
The wires, okay.
That's easy. Valley Service Road, I noticed that there's a lot of four-wheelers and trail bikes on the sides, and they cross the road, and then they stop in the middle of the road, and it's a little difficult to drive through there.
Can I give you an update on that?
Pardon? Yeah.
Because you're right. So we have a problem on Valley. We have 2 problems on Valley Service. One is the ATVs, the dirt bikes, and illegal dumping.
Yes.
Construction material at night, mattresses and tires. And it's not just North Haven that's going through this. There's a lot of cities and towns, but we stay on North Haven. So what I'm making arrangements to do is put traffic lights there. I'm sorry, street lights.
Street lights, yeah.
Illuminate them. We have a proposal from the UI, and I have a new business I'm bringing in there that is willing to pay half the cost, which is tremendous.
Oh, very good.
So I'm hoping that the illumination of Valley Service Road, with the lights being on at night, will deter people from dumping. Now, we're not going to have cameras there, but, so that's a problem. Now, secondly, next Wednesday, the 11th, I'm having a press conference. Myself, my counterpart Jim Zioli in Orange, my counterpart Matt Hoey in Guilford, my counterpart Justin Elliker, the mayor of New Haven, the mayor of West Haven, and 2 other perhaps elected officials with police chiefs from around the region. And what we're doing, Sherman, and for those watching, we're forming a regional task force. And we're going to have the press conference at the Police Academy in New Haven. And I've been asked to join this task force as one of the leaders of the task force. And the symbolism of New Haven is that they are starting to confiscate these bikes and these four-wheelers and these ATVs, and they're going to be moving to crush them, literally crush them. So we're going to be making a statement, us as the mayors and first selectmen, and surrounded by police chiefs, that we're taking an offensive approach on deterrence on this. We're fed up and we're disgusted with it. And we're going to be really, really cranking down on it. So that's what's happening next week.
Well, that's good.
So,
As long as the police enforce it.
and that, yes, you're absolutely right.
Just a quick note, this bulk trash is picked up. I know of cases where people bring stuff from out of town and dump it at their cousin's house, brothers, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
I don't know what you could do about it. It's sort of not fair because the residents here are paying for that.
Yeah.
I may be all wet, but I thought I saw police cars that are Tahoes. Is that correct, that we bought some Tahoes?
Yeah, so there's a transition, we add one or two or three a year, so we're moving really towards these SUV models in totality versus the actual cars themselves. So you may see a Tahoe or two, yeah.
But the Tahoes are much more expensive than the Traverses and the smaller ones.
Well, I mean, they negotiate with the car dealership, so.
Well, I mean, in the end, with all the vehicles we have, you're looking at many hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That's what they cost.
Every one is probably $10,000, $12,000 more than the vehicle it's replacing.
Well, you came from this industry, so you know this whole industry with the car dealership industry, and it's even trying to buy a new car personally. The prices are skyrocketing on these cars, and even the used cars, because there were the chips and the new cars were unavailable. You couldn't get new cars, so the prices went up on the used cars. So this is part of this inflationary aspect I've been talking about for months now. These vehicles are very, very expensive. So I agree with you.
We contract out the care for the cemeteries. Off the top of your head, do you know what that is, the price?
25 to 30,000. That's a rough estimate
For the year?
for the year. Yeah, that's probably going
That's
up.
very
too.
reasonable. Does that go out to bid
Yeah.
periodically?
We do, and we supplement it sometimes with Public Works. But
The basic.
yeah.
Wyman Park was just paved.
Yeah.
Where did those funds come from?
Part of the bonding package.
From
And
last year?
Yes. Yep, so,
Well-
no, the bonding package this year. So,
What, the one that we just passed?
yeah.
You paid before it passed?
Yeah, we do that. We have money from the state. We have TAR money.
Oh, okay.
So we float the money that way. Then we reimburse ourselves.
Veolia.
Yes.
Does that go out to bid periodically?
Yeah, they're probably in I don't know if it's a 5 or 10 year contract, but they're the worldwide leader. So there's not many people that can do what they do. But yes, it would go out to bid. Yeah.
I'm not saying they do a poor job. I'm just, if you don't watch it,
Right.
it creeps up on you. And I think, there's something I'll talk about later. Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Very good. Kind of where we're at. Okay.
I just have one quick comment. Just comment. Good evening, Nancy Barrett, Crestview Drive. So first of all, I'd just like to thank this board and thank everyone that came to the September town meeting. I was very glad to see that all the resolutions that were approved by this board and presented at the town meeting were all approved. I think that they will represent some major enhancements to our town. So I'd like to thank everyone that attended and voted in favor of those. Second, Mr. Friede, you mentioned your economic development, and one of the areas of focus is bringing in commercial businesses and trades. So I was just wondering if, as part of the incentive for bringing groups in, if there's any way to show preference to North Haven citizens for the purpose of potentially hiring those who have skills in specific trades. And in particular, I wondered if it'd be possible to establish some sort of internships for the North Haven High School students that might be interested in pursuing trade professions?
Well, we've already had the president of the New Haven Manufacturing Association address the school system and try to make available to the students some of these alternative businesses and trades that are out there. We also work very closely with the buildings and tradespeople. In fact, I gave a speech today at one of their annual event. Governor Lamont was there. There were a couple of other chief elected officials. The lieutenant governor was there. And they have an apprentice program. So they bring these young people in, and they train them before they become actually certified in the jobs, electricians, carpenters. So there are these mechanisms out there. So I'm not sure exactly how many North Haven students have gravitated towards the trades, but since we had the president of the New Haven Manufacturers Association there. But what we try to do, like when Amazon came in, we always speak with the business and say, would you consider, a fair representation of North Haven residents? Now, A&M Bronx Bakery that's coming in. So that president and I are working very, very closely together. There'll be millions and millions of dollars of personal property being added there. So, but in his case, he actually has employees relocating from New York.
From New York.
So those are loyal employees that he's loyal to. But if there's any gaps, yes, he's going to want to know. He already told me what North Haven residents maybe be looking for a job.
That would be terrific. And I was thinking of exactly the Amazon model that you mentioned. But in particular, I'm thinking about all of those high school students that are thinking about, the trade route, and perhaps you could pass along this information to the school counselors so that they can make this information available to the students. They can then pursue these trade training programs, get into apprenticeships, and then they'll be all set to take advantage of these new jobs.
There's good jobs out there. There's no doubt about
Absolutely. Okay, thank you so much,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Have a good night.
it. Have a good day. Thank you.
You might recall that when we discussed the tax incentive ordinance way back prior to Amazon coming in, we did, at my insistence, if I may say, or my request, build into that program a provision that says that the receiver of the tax incentive will make a good faith effort to hire North Haven citizens and use North Haven businesses in the construction. We couldn't quite require any percentage because that would be too much of an intrusion on their management of their business. But, good faith is, as you know from your business career, a very important provision in contracts sometimes to have. So we do have that.
And,
But not every business that comes in qualifies for the tax incentive, for the one of the three tiers. So, but at least we have that for major developments, so.
And what, to tie into that point,
Yes.
one thing that Amazon has also done, which we didn't ask to have stipulated, was they came to me and they said, what can we do for the business community? This was 4 years ago. I said, well, what you can do is consider if you're having lunches and you got people coming in and you want to have it catered, use some of the delis and restaurants in town. So when I was at the Wine and Roses last Sunday, that event, I had more businesses say, Amazon called us. We went in there, we gave a lunch spread, they got people coming in, and businesses were happy with that. So that was a
That's
good thing,
good.
I thought.
Well, economic development just doesn't help the tax base. That's an important part of economic development.
That's right.
But it trickles down into helping businesses and bringing more people into the town that use our businesses, whether it's a gas station or a laundromat or a restaurant. So,
So I'll share with you this story before we conclude. So, I'm very close with the Yale healthcare system. Chris O'Connor, the CEO, Marna was there. But in the last 6 months, we have opened up a gastrointestinal center there, 28,000 square feet. And we opened up a collaboration between Gaylord and Yale Healthcare System in another 24,000 square feet there. So there's over 50,000 square feet of new specialized services for people to come in. So now I'm there with their executives, and after we did the ribbon cutting, they said to me, Mike, we have a lot of people here that would love to have a restaurant across the street on the corner of Divine and State. And it just so happens it's a parcel I'm trying to develop with the property owner. So since then, I have put 3 people who want to open a restaurant there, and I've made connections with the property owner, and they're in negotiations now. So I don't know where it's going to end up. But this goes back to the point you just made. There's this economic development, and then it's like tossing a rock in a pond. And the metaphor is the ripple effect. You see the ripples. And the ripples of the Yale healthcare system, in addition to all the great services, and how it has become a vibrant district, many more tax dollars than we had 12 years ago when it was almost vacant, is that the people there, they have disposable income that they spend in other businesses. And that's why if we can develop that corner, they'll be very happy there. We got doctors and nurses and professionals that would love to walk across the street, the walkability aspect. So we're trying to see if we can get that straightened out or moving forward.
Knowing how busy the road is there, that's kind of another,
Well, it's going to require DOT with crosswalk signalization. That's what
make
we're
sure
working
it's
on too.
safe.
Okay, we're good. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay?
Second.
Second. All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Good night, everybody.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.